Last several weeks, our Mike McKnight reported on some upset homeowners. A large number of mature trees are being taken down by OPPD. It's to clear the way for new high transmission lines.
As 6 News' Brent Weber tells us, the trees may already be falling, but homeowners still want to know why.
Most came to the OPPD board meeting knowing their trees are still going to fall, but they still have questions.
We would like to know timeline, what to expect, how this transfer is going to happen. Are there going to be more poles?
It's a question of right-of-way, not right and wrong, OPPD says, although some of the 125 homeowners disagree.
You're acting like, frankly, a schoolyard bully that goes and knocks off the heads of the snowmen of the kindergartners that built that day because you can do it. Just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it.
OPPD's CEO and his engineers have already agreed they have to replace these transmission lines installed in the 50s. The best place to do it, they say, is along the same corridor.
That's 70 years ago. It would have been hard to envision an Omaha west of 120th Street. And I suspect very few could have envisioned the vibrant metropolitan community of 2023. This transmission line from 108th Street and Blondo to 123rd and Pacific is a critical part of our infrastructure. It has been for many years.
To rebuild means first, trees, including dozens of old, beautiful trees, anything over 10 feet high in the easement, are coming down. And there's little residents can do about it.
As I've struggled with the challenges that you all are experiencing, for me, it comes back to the importance of safety in this work. This is a big project. It's a high-risk project, and these are very dangerous lines, and they are not to be messed with.
We take these steps, and we don't take them lightly. We know that the impacts that we're having hit home to a lot of people, but it's a necessary part of a pretty complicated and a dangerous profession that we're in.
Homeowners will receive damage settlements, from replacement trees to property repairs, perhaps easing the pain of losing the shade that majestic trees have provided for the last half-century. On your side in Omaha, Brent Weber, 6 News.
The tree cutting has already started, with construction to begin this fall and completion slated for 2024. A link to the project timeline can be found on our website, WOWT.com.